All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So thank you, everyone, for being here and for doing the interviews. We're really excited to see how the produce education program has been hopefully helping your clients. And I'm just going to put this here in presentation mode. Oh, oops, excuse me.
Hey, Cody, this is Yazid.
Oh, hi, Yazid. Welcome.
All right, thanks.
You've got your crew with you?
Yeah, I'm waiting on two more agencies, Matt from Catholic Charities and Yoli from Pentecostal Church of God.
Okay, great. So it sounds like Matt's here, so maybe we're just waiting on Yoli, which is great. She can just hop on whenever she gets there.
Okay, cool. And I have my student Blanca here, so she'll be taking notes as well.
Okay, wonderful. All right,
okay,
welcome.
So we're ready whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. So we just started. So if you want to go ahead and mute yourself, and yeah, that would be great. Okay. So, oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you need help muting yourself?
No, we're good.
You're good. Okay, great. All right. So like I said, we're really excited to see how the produce education program has hopefully helped your clients with expanding ideas on eating healthy and eating more fruits and vegetables. So that's what this whole interview process is about. So again, if you haven't muted yourself, go ahead and do so real quick. At the top left of your control panel, there's that little green icon with the phone on it. Go ahead and mute yourself. If you just joined, go ahead and mute yourself on the top left of your control panel. All right, so if you do have any questions throughout the training, definitely feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions. And also please feel free to interrupt us and ask questions, because we really want to make sure everything is clear and everyone is good to go by the end of the training to do the interviews. So, so please don't hesitate to jump in and ask questions, and we'll ask for some participation and that sort of thing. So another quick thing, if you're using a headset connected to your computer, it sometimes can provide weird feedback, kind of screechy feedback. So it's best to switch to a phone and use the call-in information provided. If you have any questions about this, let myself or yeah, just let me know or type it in the chat box and we'll get you sorted. So this is a training for both folks who are at PEP sites and then also folks who are at non-PEP sites. So everything is going to be pretty much the same information. There will be some slight differences, and I'll be sure to explain what those differences are as we go so that hopefully there's minimal confusion. But like I said, overall, pretty much everything will be the same for both the PEP sites and the non-PEP sites. And another important thing is that so we were having a little bit of technical difficulty challenges with the video in the PowerPoint. So what we're going to do is a few slides into the training, there'll be a video and there'll be a link to a video. So what you'll do is you'll go to a separate browser and load the video through YouTube. So through your internet browser, it'll be on YouTube. And the link will be at the bottom of the slide when we get to it, and it's also going to be in the email that I sent you yesterday. So if you want to take a second to pull that up now, just so you have the link ready to go. It's just a really short 5-minute demonstration video, and everyone will go ahead and watch that on their own, and then we'll come back together and we'll continue with the training. We'll give everyone a few extra minutes to kind of get back and situated, and then we'll keep going. So just a little heads up of what's to come. All right. So the training should be pretty quick. We're just going to do a little overview of what to expect, and then we'll go ahead and watch that video. And then Denise, actually I should mention, for those of you who don't know us yet, my name is Cody, and I'm the Nutrition Education Coordinator at the California Association of Food Banks. So I run this produce education program. And then also on our webinar training today, we have Daniel Corrales and Denise Perales, and they are from Perales and Associates Evaluation Services. They're our wonderful program evaluators. So they'll be helping out with the training and, of course, here to answer any questions or any comments or anything like that that should come up. And they're here too also, not just for the training, but throughout the evaluation process. If you have any questions in general regarding the evaluation, you can either ask me or ask them. All right, so now let's move forward. So like I said, we'll do just a quick overview of what to expect for the interviews, then we'll watch that video, then we'll come back together and Denise and Dan will go over the survey, and then we'll do a brief overview as well of the interview materials. Some of you maybe haven't received your interview packets yet. Hopefully most of you have. And then we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers at the end. But hopefully it'll go pretty swiftly and pretty quickly. All right, so what you'll be doing is essentially just interviewing clients using a written survey. I know some of you had done this last year, and so this is kind of a brief overview for those of you who are new to the process. So like I said, you should have your interviewer packets should have arrived in the mail. If they haven't arrived yet, hopefully they'll be arriving in the next couple of days. If they don't arrive in the next couple of days, definitely let Denise and Dan know, and I'll put their contact information at the end of this training so you can get in touch with them about that. And each survey should take about 5 minutes, so you should hopefully be able to get all of the surveys done within the time that you have for maybe 1 or 2 distributions.
Cody?
Yes.
Because we don't have internet, can you let us know what slide we're on?
Yes, we're on slide 3.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, and then the interviews will be in English and Spanish, and I'll go into more detail about that in a little while. But just make sure, just because of the written resources that we have, that you're interviewing folks who are fluent in either English or Spanish, or great if they're fluent in both. But we find that it might take too much time to try to translate it into other languages. And we're unfortunately not really evaluating other languages at the moment. All right. Any questions about the basics before we move on?
No.
All right. So we're on slide 4 now. So for both the PEP and the non-PEP sites, you'll be doing, like I said, the interviews with your clients. For the PEP site, you'll be doing interviews with clients that have hopefully participated in at least 3 PEP nutrition lessons. If you can't find folks who've done 3, it's fine to do 2, but hopefully if you can find folks who've participated in at least 3, that's great. And for each of those PEP sites, you'll be doing 12 interviews total. And you do have a few extra interviews or surveys in your packets, in your interview packets that I sent out. So don't feel like you need to do all of those. I think I put 20 in English and 20 in Spanish. And so that's really just so you have some extras. If you'd like to do more, definitely please feel free to do more. But we just ask that you do 12. And also just to clarify that that's not 12 in English and 12 in Spanish. We just put both the English and Spanish surveys in there so that you can give your clients the option, if you do have an interviewer who speaks both of those languages and a client feels more comfortable doing a survey in one language or the other, that you have the option to do either English or Spanish. And then for the non-PEP sites, you're going to be interviewing clients who have not participated in any nutrition lessons in the past 6 months. And if it's not possible that they haven't participated in any nutrition ed, if you can at least try to find clients who participated in as minimal amount of nutrition education as possible, that would be great. And the number of interviews that you'll do will vary from site to site. It'll either be 15 or 30. And in your interviewer packet that I sent you, it should indicate whether you're doing 15 or 30 interviews at your site. And if you have any confusion about this, definitely let me know. Either email me or put it in the chat box, or you can even unmute yourself for a second if you're unsure how many you're doing. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay, great. All right. So now we'll go ahead and watch the video. So the link is here, and it's also in your email. If anyone is confused or needs help, definitely unmute yourself and let me know, and I'll help you get the video all set up or write in the chat box. Is there anyone who's unsure about how to access this link? All right. Great.
Cody, you may want to just tell them we're going to start back at 1:20.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and start back at 1:20.
Favor de
We'll give
colgar
you some
y
time.
marque 211 para el sitio más cercano a usted. "211 has information on all types of assistance programs. It's fast, free, and available 24 hours, 7 days a week. "211 tiene información en todos los programas de asistencia. Es rápido, gratis y está disponible las 24 horas del día, los 7 días de la semana. Finding help shouldn't be hard. Dial 211 to find out how. Encontrar ayuda no debería ser difícil. Favor de colgar y marque 211 para averiguar cómo. Did you know that the food bank has distribution sites located throughout Kern County? Please hang up and dial 211 for a site near you. ¿Sabía usted que el Banco de Alimentos tiene sitios de distribución en todo el condado de Kern? Favor de colgar y marque 211 para el sitio más cercano a usted. "211 has information on all types of assistance programs. It's fast, free, and available 24 hours, 7 days a week. "211 tiene información en todos los programas de asistencia. Es rápido, gratis y está disponible las 24 horas del día, los 7 días de la semana. Finding help shouldn't be hard. Dial 211 to find out how. Encontrar ayuda no debería ser difícil. Favor de colgar y marque 211 para averiguar cómo. Did you know that the food bank has distribution sites located throughout Kern County? Please hang up and dial 211 for a site near you. ¿Sabía usted que el Banco de Alimentos tiene sitios de distribución en todo el condado de Kern? Favor de colgar y marque 211 para el sitio más cercano a usted. "211 has information on all types of assistance programs. It's fast, free, and available 24 hours, 7 days a week. "211 tiene información en todos los programas de asistencia. Es rápido, gratis y está disponible las 24 horas del día, los 7 días de la semana. Finding help shouldn't be hard. Dial 211 to find out how. Encontrar ayuda no debería ser difícil. Favor de colgar y marque 211 para averiguar cómo. Did you know that the food bank has distribution sites located throughout Kern County? Please hang up and dial 211 for a site near you. ¿Sabía usted que el Banco de Alimentos tiene sitios de distribución en todo el condado de Kern? Favor de colgar y marque 211 para el sitio más cercano a usted. (211) has information on all types of assistance programs. It's fast, free, and available 24 hours, 7 days a week. (211) tiene información en todos los programas de asistencia. Es rápido, gratis y está disponible las 24 horas del día, los 7 días de la semana. Finding help shouldn't be hard. Dial 211 to find out how. Encontrar ayuda no debería ser difícil. Favor de colgar y marque 211 para averiguar cómo. Did you know that the food bank has distribution sites located throughout Kern County? Please hang up and dial 211 for a site near you. ¿Sabía usted que el Banco de Alimentos tiene sitios de distribución en todo el condado de Kern? Favor de colgar y marque 211 para el sitio más cercano a usted. (211) has information on all types of assistance programs. It's fast, free, and available 24 hours, 7 days a week. (211) tiene información en todos los programas de asistencia. Es rápido, gratis y está disponible las 24 horas del día, los 7 días de la semana. Finding help shouldn't be hard.
Hi, everyone. If you can hear me, we'll come back in a second. I'm just going to figure out, hopefully, this whole music situation. Thanks for being patient.
Encontrar ayuda no debería ser difícil. Favor de colgar y marque 211 para averiguar cómo. Did you know that the food bank has distribution sites located throughout Kern County? Please hang up and dial 211 for a site near you. ¿Sabía usted que
Hi, Cody.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I had to put it on hold because I don't have a mute button on this phone.
Okay, no worries. All right. Was there anyone who wasn't able to watch the video?
No, the only person who didn't come to the webinar would be Oli.
Okay.
Is everyone else back?
Everyone else is here, yeah.
No, we're asking about everybody.
Beyond CAFB, was there anyone who wasn't able to watch the video?
Yeah, just the Oli from the Pentecostal Church of God in Lamont. She's not here, but my student will take care of that. That's fine.
Okay, great. Thanks, Yazid. And then besides CAFB and your PEP agencies, Was there anyone else from another food bank that was not able to see the video?
Yeah, under Grace Fellowship. That's the one in Oildale. She spoke to me yesterday.
Okay.
She can't make it, but my student will
And then Blanca.
Go over it.
Okay, but it sounds like from SLO and from San Joaquin and Stanislaus, Orange County, West Side, Feeding America, San Diego, and LA Regional, everyone was able to watch it?
Yes.
Okay, great. If you weren't, I'll send the link out again after the webinar, and so you can have an opportunity to watch it afterwards. All right, so without further ado, let's keep going now that you've watched the video, hopefully, and gotten a sense of what an interview will look like. For those of you who did the interviews last year, you probably noticed that they've changed a little bit and gotten shorter. So now that you've seen that video, we'll go through the survey of that I was using in that video, and Denise will take us through that and explain how to do it. So take it away, Denise.
Hello. As Cody had said, I'm Denise Cintron-Perales, and I'm half of the Perales team that's conducting the evaluation. And what you're looking at now is a sample survey that's already been completed. And as we go through it, if you'll think back on the video that you watched, and if you have any questions along the way, feel free to jump in and ask me questions. Dan is also going to be going through parts of the survey with us, and you can ask him questions as well. We also welcome information or feedback from any of you who did the surveys in 2014, as well as Cody, who's done some surveys this year using the new survey that you're going to be looking at, which is a shortened version of the 2014 survey. So all of you should have received your packets of information, including your surveys in English and Spanish. And if you haven't received those yet, they should be coming shortly, since Cody sent those out last week. So on this particular page, what we'd like for you to do is to complete the page ahead of time so that you're not taking time away from the interview. And so we want you to complete it with the date and the last name and the first name and your first name. Now the surveys you're receiving from Cody will have your food pantry already blackened out. If for some reason your food pantry is not listed, then please use the other blank boxes to write in the name of your food pantry. Now you'll notice beforehand, I want to point out to you that throughout the survey, highlighted in yellow, are these interviewer notes. In those boxes, you'll have important information that will help you, guide you through the survey. We want to be sure that you become really acquainted with the survey ahead of time. As we go through it now, it will seem a little bit longer, but as you could tell from the video, it should only take about 4 minutes once you become acquainted with it. So we're going to go ahead and begin. And the very first notes that are very important for you to follow is to please ask the client the questions and read the questions as they're worded in the survey. Please try not to paraphrase the questions, and do not hand them the survey to fill out. And that's an important thing, because once they see some of the response choices, that would change possibly how they answer it. So it's important that you ask the questions of the client and that you do not hand them the survey. Also, throughout the survey, you're going to be reading the question and waiting for them to respond. So we don't want to prompt them and give them the answers. So go ahead and let's go ahead and get started with the next page. Now this is a really important page. What you see are interviewer notes after each question. And for each question, if there is a no response, you see a stop sign. The reason the stop sign is there is because it tells you that if an individual responds no to that specific question, you'll want to stop asking questions, thank the individual for their time, and go on to the next person. Now, if that does happen, if, for example, you say, hello, can I ask you a few questions about the food you receive here to help us improve our nutrition program? If the individual says no, then you're going to stop and you're going to thank them for their time and move on to the next person. At that point, that survey is no longer valid. It no longer counts as one of your 12 surveys. So you want to discard that survey. Do not send it to us when you send your completed forms. Only send completed forms. Okay, so all of these questions are important. The second question, would you prefer I speak in English or Spanish? Now, if the person says Spanish, as Cody said, you should have received surveys in Spanish as well. Now, it's also possible as an interviewer that maybe you do not speak Spanish, but you do have someone else that can speak Spanish. So at that point, you can get that volunteer to work with that client and get that survey completed in Spanish. The third question, are you 18 years of age or older? We only want to survey individuals 18 or older. If they're not 18, stop. Do not complete the survey, thank them for their time, and move on to the next person. Oh gosh, sorry, we have another call coming in on this end. Okay, question 4. Question 4, did you get food here during any of the months from February through May? And this is an important question because we only want to interview individuals who received food and had the opportunity to hear the PEP lesson. If they did not receive food, then stop and do not continue with the survey. Go on to the next person. Question 5, do you remember hearing about My Plate from our educators here in the last 4 months? This is also a very important question because we want to know that what people remember not about the lessons at that site. And so if they don't remember hearing about the My Plate message, we want to stop the survey. Now, as you saw in the video, and you should have received a clipboard with the My Plate image on the back of it. This is where you want to show them the My Plate image, give them an opportunity to take a look at that. And if they don't remember hearing about My Plate at your site, stop the survey and thank them for their time.
Denise, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Sometimes the Department of Health Services goes out to some of our sites, and they usually have a My Plate. I think some clients might get confused between if it was the PEP site conducting the My Plate presentation or the Department of Health Services. Is that going to be a problem?
Well, I'm going to defer to Dan to give you his expertise. Hopefully, you can steer them towards your lessons and maybe you could show them your one of the recipe cards and ask, and maybe that would jog their memory along with the MyPlate logo as to whether or not they heard it there at your site. The ideal is that we gather information from people who only heard about MyPlate at your site, but we do understand that the MyPlate image is out there. I've even seen it on a can of Goya beans, anybody who buys those, and at Wix sites, and there are other agencies that are doing education using the MyPlate image.
If I could say here, what's important here is you'll notice that we have underlined the word here, or question number 5, and that's because we really need to capture their exposure to the educational message from the people at your site. So if the county does go in, it's important to tease that out in your case, and I don't think it's happening in other places there. Tease out whether we're talking about our educators that are here, the people from our site versus somebody from outside. If you can establish that, then we can go forward. But if they say it's from the county people, I would stop there because they're not conveying the same message with the same tools that you are.
Oh, okay.
I think he's also asking though, and this has happened. Sometimes people don't recall. You know, I've heard it. I've heard the message. They may say I've heard the message, but I don't remember if it was here or at WIC, for example.
Mm-hmm. Well, if there's some doubt that the person may have heard the message, or if there's a sense that the person may have heard the message, I would say go ahead, and we can tease that out from the responses they give afterwards, which we'll go through in just a minute.
Okay. Sounds good.
Denise?
Yes.
This is Bruce from Westside Food Bank. We're going to be doing the questionnaires at a control site. So at this point, it looks as if you've already given us, or Cody's already given us, a version of the questionnaire that's appropriate for that.
Yes.
Yes, and I apologize. I should have mentioned that earlier. The survey that we're going through is the intervention survey, meaning only the sites that receive the PEP education. However, we do have people on the call, like you, that will be doing the control survey at sites that did not receive the education. Therefore, the survey is slightly different. For example, on the control survey, Bruce, the survey you have, you do not have this question, do you remember hearing about MyPlate?
Sure.
Your question is, have you heard about MyPlate? Which is, comes up as question number 6.
Right.
So it is slightly different.
Yeah, and also that's why we weren't provided with the cards for the particular products.
Right. Right,
yeah.
Because we an important part of our study is whether or not there is a significant difference in what people remember about MyPlate and how they're using it, as well as their consumption of the fruits and vegetables that are introduced in the PEP lessons. And we did a study back in 2012, which was the pilot study for this project, and we found a significant difference between the individuals who received the education and those that did not. So that's what we're looking for here, and of course our hope is that we're going to see the same kind of results where people are eating more of the fruits and vegetables and remembering the MyPlate lesson.
Okay.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay. Okay. Now, the next script, we're going to ask you to read it exactly as written, because this is very important because it gives us the official consent from the client to survey them. And so you want to read this exactly as it's written, and you'll say, the rest of the survey will take about 5 minutes. We're not taking names, and your responses will be kept confidential. There are no right or wrong answers, and you can stop answering questions at any time. If you decide you do not want to participate. It will not affect your ability to receive food here today now or in the future. Now that part is really important, we found in the past, because people want to know that that they can still get their food if they decide they don't want to complete the survey. And if they don't want to complete the survey, once again, this is where you see that stop sign. Stop asking questions, thank them for their time, and go on to the next person. Once again, that survey will no longer count and towards your 12 surveys that you're going to be collecting. Now, for the next question, okay, I'm sorry. Following that little script there, of course, is you need to check if they say yes or no, and then move on to the next person if they said no. The next question, Dan's going to go through a certain part of the survey as well, so I'm going to hand it over to Dan, and Dan, I'll go through your slides and as you do the script.
Okay. This is really a question that really goes right at whether or not people have some sense of knowledge and memory about the MyPlate education. And so here, we don't have this written in the interviewer notes, but we recommend, and you may make a note on your surveys right now, to show the MyPlate image again. The image that's on the back of your board, or where you have it on a little handout. Show it again so they can see it again, and then read the question, what nutrition information do you remember about how to use MyPlate to feed yourself or your family? And then this is a bit of a where you've got to really be willing to listen here carefully, because the kind of responses we've seen, heard, and Cody did this very recently, and the kind of responses we're hearing is, things such as, eat low-fat foods, or eat less meat. And in there, sometimes you might have to say, can you give me an example? Again, without putting words into their mouths, can you give me an example? And they will be more specific about what they're talking about. Then it'll be your judgment about how that fits into the categories that we have here. These are the categories that are based on the educational message, which is what we're trying to capture here. But also, we also know that people have different ways of expressing this information. So it's going to take a little exposure. And Cody did this recently. Cody, you want to add a little bit about this?
Sure, yeah, Dan. So I did this, like Dan said, just a few days ago, and I definitely got responses such as, eat more grains, or like Dan said, eat less meat. And so I definitely had to, like Dan again was saying, just really pay close attention to be able to interpret that, okay, eat more grains to them maybe eat more whole grains, even though they didn't specifically say whole. And so kind of probing them a little bit further to see what they mean by what they say. And I also want to point out, because I know this is a little bit tricky if you're going through this really quickly, the difference between answer choice number 2 and 7, because we're really interested in knowing, do people just remember that MyPlate is made up of 5 food groups, and maybe they remember what the food groups are, maybe they can name most of them. And then answer choice 7 is really knowing that hopefully, that folks should be eating from the 5 different food groups every day if possible throughout the day. So I also noticed that kind of came up when I was doing the surveys, was some folks saying that MyPlate was made up of 5 food groups, and then other folks saying that it's important to eat from the 5 food groups every day. So just a little note to differentiate between those 2 responses.
Okay, thank you, Cody. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, are there any questions about question number 7 before we go into question number 8? Okay.
Actually, Dan, I have one last comment
Sure.
about question 7. So I think that a great thing to do, if you're unsure about how to interpret a client's response to that question, or you don't know quite which category it fits into, if any, definitely just put it at the bottom in the comments section. Dan, if you want to go back to question 7 for a second, just so folks can see at the bottom of, oops.
Denise, go back to question 7.
Oops, it looks like it's just going forward. Anyway, I think that the folks get the point that there's a comment section at the bottom. So again, if you're just unsure which category it falls into, go ahead and just write it in the comment section.
Okay, hold on one second. I think we had a little technical difficulty here. Okay, so let me she puts that back up. Let me talk about question number 8, which the question is, how have you used My Plate to prepare the food for yourself or for your family? And here we want them to give you examples, and some of these things you're going to write down as comments, but they may say that something they're giving my family more vegetables. I'm giving them more. They're eating more fruit, and we're drinking low-fat milk. We're eating more chicken, which is another way of saying we're eating lean protein, lean meats. We're not eating as many white flour tortillas and eating more whole grain bread, for example, might be another thing they may say. So again, this is one of those responses where you've got to be able to kind of hear what they're saying, and maybe even ask them to clarify it a little bit more, to be more specific. And I think you can really get the information from them that you're looking for. What we're looking for here. Hold on one second, folks. Let me check with Denise and see what's going on.
Okay. Sorry about that technical difficulty.
Okay.
Can everybody see the screen now?
Question number 8. Let's go to question number 8. If there are any questions about question number 8, and what we're looking for is asking them people, what are you doing with the information about My Plate? Okay, question number 9, Denise, please.
Oh, Dan, you might want to point out, this is a good time to point out the importance of recording the client's comments, and that's also part of the evaluation.
Yes, don't overlook the fact that the kind of comments they make can be very helpful about what they're actually doing. So don't be shy about writing down some of their comments. Question number 9, we're asking them if they got the recipe cards, if they used them, and what did they do with the recipe cards? And so you're going to have recipe cards listed on your forms that Cody has listed there. And let me ask Cody to explain how she did this question, because I think it's really important to capture how to not rattle off all of these at one time. Go ahead, Cody.
Sure. So I found it really useful, again, when I was doing these surveys the other day, to go through each of the types of fruits or vegetables listed there one by one. And also want to make just a quick note that each of you have the fruits or vegetables listed there, and it's up to 4. So some of you may have 1 or 2 or 3. Some of you may have 4 fruits or vegetables specifically that you distributed in the last 4 months. And so it's tailored to your organization, and then with the corresponding recipe cards. And again, those of you at the control or the non-PEP sites don't need to worry about question 9 or about the recipe cards. So I found it really helpful when asking this question to, again, go through each of the fruits or vegetables one by one, and to first ask if they got the recipe card. Because if they didn't get the recipe card, then I just would check in the first answer slot where they say they did not get the recipe card, and I move on to the next fruit or vegetable. So it would look something like this. I would say, did you get the carrot recipe in the last 4 months? And I would show them the carrot recipe card that I had with me. And then if they said they did get it, I would ask, did you make or modify the carrot recipe that you got here? And then if they said yes, I would say, did you make it exactly as it was written on the recipe card, or did you make any changes to it? And then from there, it was pretty easy to get a sense of obviously what they did with the recipe card. And you can see the corresponding answer choices there. And so then once I was finished with the carrots, I would go down to the cabbage or the celery and then the corn. and again, go through them one by one and make any comments that they, or record any comments that they made about, did they add something to one of the recipes? And maybe that's, a really helpful idea for us to know for the future when we're putting together the recipe cards. And you can see that the answer response choice number 5 is just letting you know that they didn't make the recipe. So that's also definitely, of course, an option.
Okay, and it's important that you only check one box for each of the recipe cards, too. Thank you, Cody. Question 10, and the other thing we want to know is the same fruits and vegetables that are in question number 9. Did your family eat them, and if so, where did you get them? And we want to know if in this you can check all that apply, those categories that are there, from got it here to restaurants and to other, and then any comments that you have about this. For example, this one says client grew celery in her yard, and that's her source for celery, for example. So I think this is a pretty clear-cut question. Next page, Denise.
Oh, but before we move on to the next page, just want to give a similar comment about question 10 from question 9. Excuse me. And that is just going through each one by one. I found that was really helpful instead of trying to kind of do them all at once, and to ask, did you or your family eat carrots in the last 4 months? And then if they said yes, to say, where did you get it? And then if they just said, I got it here, then I would ask anywhere else, because we really want to know everywhere. Sorry if that was a little bit repetitive, but just wanted to make sure that was clear for everyone.
Very helpful. Thank you.
And if I could just add to that, and in this particular question, we're asking you to check all that apply. Compared with the previous question, where we're asking you to only check one response choice. So that's why it's really important to become very acquainted with the interviewer notes, because they're going to guide you through the whole process. For question 10, for example, as in this case, they grew it at home, that response choice did not fit. So that's why you would check the other, because it's not one of the listing, and then you put it down where the comment section is.
Okay. 11.
Oh, this is Bruce. I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
On the control group version that I have, it's a list of slightly different fruits or vegetables. Is there a reason for that, or?
In other words, the survey that you received from
has
Cody,
bell peppers instead of corn, and
right,
broccoli instead of celery.
Let Cody answer that.
Okay, the reason for that, Bruce, is because Cody matched the survey that each food pantry received is already pre-populated with the responses based on the, if you're in a PEP site, based on the recipe cards and the produce that you distributed. If you're a control site, it's based on the produce that was distributed by your site. So if you have bell peppers, you should have distributed bell peppers during the months of February through May. Would that be correct, Bruce?
Because we're surrogates for the pantry, I'm not sure, but yeah, we distributed all of these things.
Bruce, I filled out that survey and I only put in items Silva received, so
I see. Okay,
it'll be fine.
Okay, and I see for bell peppers, pimiento chile campana. Which one? I remember in the past sometimes that hasn't translated for people as bell peppers.
Oh, Cody, can you respond to that?
Sure.
Or which one should be used?
Yeah, great question. So those are the two words for bell peppers that I'm familiar with. I'm also not a native Spanish speaker, so if anyone is on the call and is a native Spanish speaker and wants to chime in about which one is best to use, or Bruce, maybe you can use both, but and see which one folks are familiar with. But is there someone who knows more than I do?
Okay. Well, I think we can get close enough. I'll just have one on. I'll have one on hand. So.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Cody.
Oh, yes.
Can you hear me? It's Melissa. I'm not a native speaker by any means, but I know that somebody I work with in my program, he says that a lot of people use campanas, which is like bell. It literally translates bell peppers.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
I see.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah.
No problem.
Dan, do you have any experience with that word that you want to chime in?
We didn't use that word in my family. Let's go to the next slide. We got to get these people out of here.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we don't want to stop you from asking questions. So.
Okay. Now, question 11. We want to know how likely are they to buy the vegetables that they received, the fruit that they received. So here, begin by asking them, how likely are you to buy any of the following? You can go from vegetable to vegetable, and you can say very likely, somewhat likely, or not likely. And then if they say not likely, you can say why, and they can say it's too expensive, I don't like it, my family doesn't like it, I can get it at the pantry, why should I buy it? Or some other reason that you can list. So you don't have to read off all of these things, but you can ask them, you know, if you're not likely, why not? And that way you can get the response that, that more than likely will be one of these categories, or something you can put into the comments under other reasons. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, and then question 12 is the last question in terms of the survey fruit and vegetable questions. And what do you do with the fruits and vegetables that you receive from here? And again, these are the categories. Check all answers that apply, and you're going to hear all kinds of things here. And some of these, this is one question that generally gets more comments than some of the other questions, but do they give it to friends, family, or neighbors? Do they freeze some of it raw? Do they cook it and preserve it? Do we throw it away if it spoils or expires? So it could be all of those things. We really want to know what they do with what they receive here. And the point is here, not when they go grocery shopping, or not when they go to the farmer's market, but what they get from your pantry. And the here's needs to be emphasized on that. Any questions on that? Okay. Next page is we need demographic background information. So we want to know people's age, and most people will give you their age. If they decline, you can just check the decline box. Race ethnicity is important for us to document here. Language, gender. We also want to know whether they have children who are under age 18. And if they have 0, you can either put 0 or check the box that's there. And then whether or not they have children who are older, people over 18 or older in their household. And that is demographic information. On the next page,
yeah? I can cover a couple of important points on this as well. Mm-hmm. It's very important that you read the script under the interviewer notes. You read that out loud to the client. In order to provide better services, we'd like to ask you for some demographic information. This information will also be kept confidential. So much like the script in the very beginning where we're asking for their consent to interview them, this part is also very important because it shows that the information they're giving you is going to be kept confidential. At the very end here, you're going to want to thank them and provide them with one of the gifts that you received from Cody. And you should have received t-shirts and hats and aprons. And I know Dan was going to comment on this last page here.
Just to say that as anything comes to mind about either your interview or experience that you experienced that way, or something didn't quite work as well as you thought it was going to work, or there's something that's in the survey that could be more clear, you can put those in comments that are there. Let me just tell you, this particular survey is a version that is very distilled from what we had 3 years ago in our study in Santa Clara County. What we did in 2014. We wanted to make it more efficient, shorter, and right to the point of the things that the funding agency really wanted to find out. So it's about as short as we can make it and still have the information that we need to meet our grant responsibilities.
Okay, a couple of final points before we hand it back to Cody. Just want to remind you to only send us completed forms. If at any time an individual, even if in the middle of the survey, they decide that they just don't want to complete the rest of the survey, please stop and thank them for their time and move on to the next person. Discard that survey. Do not include it as one of your 12 surveys, and only send us the completed forms. As we went through it just now, I know it seemed a little long, but just to remind you that once you become really acquainted with it, and we're going to need you to take some time to review the survey, and especially the interviewer notes, along with the response choices, so that you can quickly go through the survey the way Cody did in that 4-minute video. The other thing I want to remind you about, last reminder, is to please record any comments that the client gives you along the way in the comment boxes, and to print legibly so that we can read that when we'll be also entering that information into a database along with all of the other responses.
Let me add, I'll let Cody close, but let me just add that what you're helping us do here, folks, is a continuation of research that we've been doing on this type of approach to educating in food distribution lines. It's called Walk the Line. This is something of great interest to the USDA in general. They've already tried to replicate this in Hawaii. I believe Cody knows that they're replicating it, I believe, in another state here in the West. So it's a developing concept that your information and the work that you're doing and the things that you're giving us are going to help other communities. So I really hope that you recognize how important your work is to the effort to feed families and give them healthy food and information on how to become healthier. So thank you for that. Cody, do you want to?
Okay. Any questions before we move on? Feel free to contact us. I know Cody's maybe is going to be out of town after today, and if you have any questions as you start to do the surveys, feel free to contact Cody, and if she's out of town, then feel free to contact us as well.
All right, great. Thanks, Denise and Dan. So if everyone is okay to stick around for a few more minutes, we just got a few more things to go over before we wrap up, and we really appreciate you, again, taking the time to do this today. So in your packets that you either have received or will be receiving soon, just want to go over real quick what you have in those packets so everyone's familiar and prepared. So you either have those PEP site surveys or the non-PEP site control surveys. Again, you have them in both English and Spanish. And then everyone should have 3 clipboards with a blank My Plate image on the back, as we've been talking about. And you should have 3 pens also just to do the interviews. And so we know that not everyone is going to have 3 interviewers. That's totally okay. But I just wanted to give the option for those of you who are going to have 3 interviewers. We know that some of you just have 1 or 2, and that's fine. You also have a set of up to 4 of those recipe cards that we also talked about, the ones that correspond to the PEP recipe cards that you've been giving out at your site, or that for Westside Food Bank, I know that SOVA has been giving out, or no, rather they haven't because they're a control site, excuse me. But anyway, so you should have up to 4 recipe cards. Like we talked about, some of you might just have 1 or 2 or 3 cards, and that's fine. You'll also have a checklist in that box of things you'll need before the interviews, and you'll also have the pre-addressed and stamped envelope, and that's the envelope that you'll mail the completed interviews in. Again, just the completed interviews, and that'll go to the paralysis, but all you need to do is just slip the completed interviews in there, pop it in the mail, and it's already paid for, already addressed, and everything like that. And in your manila folder that is in your packet, there's also a cover letter that explains all of this. So if at any time you get you know, a little lost or not quite sure what to do, definitely refer back to that, and it'll explain everything. If it's still unclear, definitely feel free to get in touch with me or with the paralysis. And like I said, I will be out of the office for a few days, so probably getting in touch with them first is the best bet, and we'll have our contact information on the last slide. So this is just the interviewer checklist. This is also in your Manila folder in your packet, so I won't spend too much time going over this. But I do want to say for the last checkbox here, the gift for the participants, which as Denise mentioned, are the hats and the aprons and the t-shirts. If you don't have these, make sure to ask your food bank about them, and they'll be able to help you get a hold of those. And I find that there are several different ways and times when it's great to interview clients, but even though I've listed out these options, definitely, of course, do whatever works best for you or your agency and their clients. So sometimes that I've found can be useful or to do the interviews before the distribution starts. So when clients are kind of waiting in line or maybe waiting in their lobby waiting area, or you can set up a table near the distribution and ask clients if they want to step over and be interviewed just for a few minutes before they get their food, or similarly just to set up a table and ask them if they'd be willing to be interviewed after they get their food. And I've found just when I've gone out and done the interviews that it can be kind of a helpful incentive to put the thank you gift in a visible place, and that kind of incentivizes people when they know that they get a nice thing for giving a few minutes of their time. And then just a few final notes. If you weren't able to watch the demonstration video today, or if you just like to see it again just to get extra prepared, feel free to do that. I'll send out the link again after the presentation is over, or you should have it in the email that I sent out before. And as Denise mentioned, make sure that you read through the interviewer notes as you're going through the survey. And if you have time to really familiarize yourself with them before you go out and do the interviews, just so you can go as smoothly as possible through the interviews. And like you saw in the video, that it really only does take 5 minutes if you're going through it swiftly. So definitely feel free to practice and look that over. And then just another reminder to please to not give the surveys to your clients to fill out on their own. We really want to see what they remember without looking at the answer responses. And also, please only give thank you gifts to clients that complete the surveys. We wish we had enough for everyone, but we just have enough for the folks who give a few minutes of their time. And if you're a PEP site, go ahead and just skip the nutrition or the PEP lessons on the days that you do the interviews. I find that it can be a little bit overwhelming or short-staffed to try to do both. And then also, please make sure to mail the completed interview using that pre-addressed and stamped envelope no later than July 17th. So go ahead and mark that in your calendars, write it on your forehead, do whatever you need to do to remember to please have those in the mail by the 17th, by July 17th. We have about a month to do those surveys and to use that envelope to get those. And again, just the completed ones. So that is about it, but I know we're a few minutes over, but I definitely want to take a minute or two to just see if anyone has any questions. And if you're thinking it, probably someone else is too, so please definitely feel free to ask any questions, small or large. All right. If you do have a question, make sure to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, I have a question about the completion mailing day, because I'm going to a site on July 16th, which is a day before the deadline. Is it okay? So I mail it mail it that Friday, July 17th. Is that a problem, or it got to be delivered by July 17th? You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah, great question. So that's totally fine as long as it's
What agency is she with?
You're with Feeding America San Diego?
Oh yes, Feeding America San Diego, yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. So you'll be doing those interviews down there at those sites. Yeah, that's totally fine. If you put it in the mail by the 17th, that'll be perfect.
Okay, just want to make sure. And then in the mail, do I need to ship the clipboard, the pen back to you, or just the completion, the survey completed, or other equipment that you say you're going to be?
Yeah, great question. So again, go ahead and hold on to those. All you need to send back is just the completed surveys. So hold on to the clipboards and the pens and recipe cards and things like that, because we can use them for next year's evaluation. That way we won't have to ship them back down. And you can also recycle any surveys that you didn't use or anything, or any partially completed surveys. Go ahead and just recycle those.
Okay.
Or you know, do another creative project with them, or an art project if you want.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, great. So here is Daniel and Denise's contact information, and then also my contact information. Definitely feel free to please get in touch with us if you have any questions, again, large or small, and we'd be happy to answer them about the evaluation or about anything else related to the program. And since I will be out of town in the next few days, actually the next week or so, feel free to first get in touch with Dan and Denise, and they'll be the quickest response. And they'll look out for your questions and things like that. So feel free to give them a call or email them.
Cody, I do have one last question.
Yes.
This is Rachel with Feed America in San Diego. I just want to double check on how many surveys you're sending, because I know that we haven't received our package, or I haven't seen it at least. You said you were sending 20 Spanish and 20 English per site?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, and thank you for bringing up that point, because the 20, like I said, there are going to be some extras in there. So that allows for example, if you start a survey with someone, you start filling it out, and then you realize that they don't fulfill the criteria to continue, then you can go ahead and use another survey. But for San Marcos and for Fallbrook, you'll just need to do 12 at each of those sites. You have 8 extra, essentially. But if you want to do more, if you feel inspired, definitely feel free.
It will probably be in Spanish, so I just wanted to make sure I had enough in Spanish.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you should have 40 total in Spanish.
Okay, perfect.
Between the 2 sites. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, Cody, if you can remind them about completing the evaluation survey, and that's really important because this is the first time we're doing this training via webinar, and so we'd like to hear from everyone, get their thoughts on the training and how well it worked. And so if you'd please take a few minutes to do that, and I'm assuming that they received the link in their email.
Yes, yeah, in the email that I sent you to invite you to the training and give you all the access information, the training evaluation link is in there, and I'll send it out again when I send out the link for the demonstration video, so you'll have both of those. All right, so just one last thank you, a huge thank you to all of you for doing this. We really, really appreciate all of your help and helping us improve our program and learn about how the program is hopefully helping your clients. So thank you again, and feel free to get in touch with any questions.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.